Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli wa nusallim ala Rasulil Kareem. Amma ba'd. So we've been going through Nur Ul Idaah, which is the Hanafi text. Imam Shurambulali from the 11th century after Hijrah. So we have started the water and its ruling. I will just go through the stuff that we've covered. The water, we said, has a nature, which is the riqqah and saylan. Riqqah is the thinness, saylan is the liquidity, and it has three qualities, which is the smell, the raiha, the taste, ta'am, and the lawn, the color. And water is achieved through many different sources, as you know, and the water could be tahir and mutahhir, which is mutlaq. It hasn't got any dislike in it. It is pure and it is purifying as well. It could be makruh, although it is tahir and mutahhir, yet there is a dislike about it. And it could be musta'mal, which is tahir, means it is pure but cannot be purifying. They cannot help us do wudu or ghusl, but we can consume it. And it could be najas as well, and mushtabah. So mutlaq water is the water which is normal water found anywhere, clean and nice. You can use it for whatever. Dislike one is the leftover, and we should try and stay away from that. Leftover from small animals which come and frequent our houses, and a small quantity of water from which a cat or similar animal has partaken. Musta'mal is the one that has just left our body. We were doing wudu, that drop of water there which has left my arm, for example, has gone back into the bucket. I collected them, and can I use them again? I can use them for other things, but not to use it to purify my, say, my clothes, for example, if they were defiled, or taking ghusl or wudu with that. That's musta'mal. And then we said then about ghalaba, if there were mixture, water get mixed with certain things, or whatever. So what would happen if it get mixed with solid substance and the water loses its two main attributes, which is the riqqah, the thinness, and the saylan, which is liquidity, then this is no longer a water and you can't use it. And if it's mixed with a substance that does not change any of those, the quality remains, like, you know, the riqqah and saylan remains, the actual nature of the water remains. Now, even if the qualities like color, smell, and taste changes, it doesn't matter. You can still use it as water because it has got those basic things. So we got, for example, put some sugar or salt in it, and it becomes thick, and so then obviously that is syrupy, sugary. It's not a water anymore. It is like a syrup of some sort with sugar. But here you put some, you know, different leaves. It just gives mint, maybe. The water remains water in this case. So ghalaba, it is how much and what qualities. So with regards to water or a liquid mixed with water, so what would happen here? The first scenario was that of solid. This one is for liquid. So it depends on the number of qualities in a liquid that is mixed with the water. So if there was no quality at all, then you have to judge by the volume. So if, for example, rose water that has lost its smell, if it is mixed with the remnant water, then you have to just qualify what is more, whatever is the ma mustamal and this. So whichever is the higher quantity, you have to just judge accordingly. So that would take the ruling, whether it is water or not. If it's not water, then it cannot be tahir and mutahhir. It can be tahir, you can still consume it, but not used to purify. If it has two qualities, like one of these becomes apparent, then you have to, so for example, milk. If you put milk in the water, so the color of the water changes to white. And likewise, if that happens out of the two qualities, then you know that the water is less than the milk itself. Likewise, if there were three qualities, and two must be there. For example, black vinegar, you put in water, but the color of the water gets changed to darker brownish, not the normal white color, and or colorless, and it has, say, smell or taste. So then any two present mean that it is dominating the water. So water ceased to be water. You cannot use it to purify, although you can consume it. It's still pure to drink or for other reasons, but not to purify. Okay. Now, then fourth category is impure water. Impure water, which is najas. So the small quantity of stagnant water in which najasa has fallen, a small quantity needs to be described. So what is that? A small quantity is the amount of water which is less than 10 by 10 cubit. 10 by 10 in current measurement is the surface area, width and length, which is 225 foot square or 20.9 meters square, feet square or meter square. So if that is the surface area, any water that is contained in that area is big enough, like most pools are going to be bigger than that. So if they are like this, then they are large quantity. Anything less than that is small quantity. So if this is a small quantity, less than 10 by 10 cubits, it would be regarded as impure if there was any najasa fell in it. Even if you can't see it, a drop of water, a drop of urine, a drop of blood would make it impure. What about washing machine? Normally the water is obviously less than 10 by 10 cubits, obviously. What about, so remember the impurities of two types is mar'i or ghair mar'i. Mar'i is the one that could be seen. Ghair mar'i is the thing that you cannot see. So the method of purifying visible impurity is that the essence should be cleansed away, is removed from the garment, for example. Just thorough washing once or twice, it doesn't matter. You don't have to do certain numbers of time. So obviously, washing machine would just do it very nicely. So that's why it would clean it. The method of purifying impurity that cannot be seen is that you have to wash it and then do at least 3 times. And every time you have to wring it too tight that all the water is being squeezed out of it. And then you do it 3 times. So obviously, the washing machine does that very nicely as well. So it actually covers all sides. And you should be satisfied that the washing machine would have purified the clothes, for example. But there's difference of opinion. Some still consider it to be not okay. So it's better to just remove that impurity before you put that cloth and mix it with other clothes in the washing machine. Although the fatwa is that it is permissible. Okay. What about swimming pools? The swimming pools has to be quite big. So it would not become impure if someone has urinated in it, for example. Some small kids with you, they've urinated in it. So the water would not be impure unless it changes the color, taste, or smell of the water, which means that they've done, enough people have done urination in that the color changes or the smell changes or the taste changes, any of the 3 qualities of the water change. Then that swimming pool would be impure. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. So if it's circular, the diameter should be 5.16 meters or more. They've calculated it for us, the fuqaha, thanks to them. And if the pool is less than this diameter, then it is gone. Then any najasa would render it impure. Any najasa would render it impure. Yeah, using chlorine and chemicals, that would not purify the water. You cannot purify water by putting some chemical in it. So if we've taken shower in such water, and so then we have to come out and then wash our bodies as well. Obviously, if the water is already pure, then it's fine. So normally water is pure, and then we don't need to worry about that. So how would we clean the pool? Just by adding pure water till it becomes overflowing. So what about animals that die in the water? The animal that hasn't got blood flowing in them, like, fish, for example, it does not make the water impure. So they would be fine. They can, if they died inside, they can be taken out. The water remains pure. Likewise, the animal that lives in water, if they die there, frog, for example, crabfish, crayfish, whatever, fish, if they die inside, they do not make water impure. The fifth category is doubtful water. So water from which a donkey or mule has drunk, because there's a difference of opinion. When some pure pots of water are mixed with impure ones, now we don't know which one of these pots are pure, some are impure. Some have been licked by a dog, for example, some are pure. So if majority are pure, then one is obliged to discern the pure ones if intending to do wudu or drink water from those pots. So there was, say, 10 buckets sitting there. Each has water in it, and you do not know the dog has licked from which one. So one needs to do tahari, try to identify, try to do some workout. Say, okay, I saw the dog coming and drinking from this, but he came from this side. It is likely that he's gone to the first, second, and third in the row, these three maybe. And then when I shoot him, he just ran away from the other side. So it means these three, maybe four. So these four are possible, others look fine. So I'm gonna use, that's the tahari, that's the workout. That's the way to look at, trying to do some work. And then we'll just act on that. If the majority were pure. If the majority were impure, then you do not have to do tahari. So if pure and impure clothes are mixed likewise, if majority are impure, the bottom line is that you can't use any of them. What would you do in that case? You do tayammum. In the first case, where there are fewer impure and more pure parts out of those 10 maybe, but then you identify the pure one and take wudu, do wudu from that. If majority are impure and you've got only one or two parts you can't find out, don't worry, leave them alone. Don't do wudu from them, just go for tayammum. You've got alternative. If pure and impure clothes are mixed, then one is required to discern the pure from the impure, regardless whether the majority are pure or not. Why? Because you would not find alternative. What would you do? You have to have clothes on. You can't be going out without clothes. So, classification of water. So water, again, whatever we have covered so far, it could be mutlaq, it could be makruh, musta'mal, najas, or mashkuk, or mushtabah. Mutlaq is intrinsically pure and it is purifying, which is water from river, for example. Makruh, pure and purifying with some dislike. This is a small amount from which a cat has parted. Musta'mal, pure but not purifying. It is pure itself but cannot purify. It's used water. Najas, impure and cannot purify. Small amount of water with any impurity, a large amount of water with impurity if the qualities have changed. 3 qualities: taste, color, and smell. Mashkuk is doubtful for purifying ability, water drunk by mule or donkey. So we try to do tahari. If you can't do that, then we try to tayammum for wudu. And with regards to clothes, you've got 5 pieces of clothes and they all look that they're soiled, they don't know which one to use, then you have to do tahari regardless, because you have to find out the right one and wear it. But not nowadays, obviously it's not a problem, you have many clothes and alternatives available. Last point for today, sur, the remnant water. Remnant water, water left over. When an animal drinks from a small quantity of water, the remaining water is then known as sur. This is of 4 types. Leftover water. The water is clean and cleansing, from which a human, horse, or those animals whose meat is lawful for consumption have partaken. if after consuming something unlawful in the Sharia, such a Sharia way, this is as wine or pork. So someone has done that, God forbid. Remember, human means every human, even non-Muslims, their leftover water is pure and fine. You can use that. You can drink it. You can use for wudu. Except that if they've just eaten pork or wine, they've just drunk wine, and immediately they had the leftover water after drinking from the water, then that it would be impure, because we know. So we just try to stay away from that until you know that this is completely sure. Obviously, there is this point, the last point, which has some sense to it, but hopefully wouldn't happen. Sometimes people do have that, like, crazy, perverted ideas of even getting sexually aroused when they get water left over from someone who they get appealed to. So it is disliked to use their water, their leftover water, so we do not get, sensations there. Impure water, its usage is unlawful. So water will become impure. For example, water which has been drunk by dog or pig or any other predatory animals whose meat is haram. Third one is the usage of what is makruh while other water exists, that is sort of a domesticated cat. However, for a hungry destitute, it is permitted. Obviously, poor man, he has got no other alternative, so he could have that. But if it is available, we should just try and go for alternative. Wild cat is impure, so we cannot, have their leftover water. Likewise, undomesticated chicken, those who go out and have all the funny, rubbish that they eat and garbage that they, get involved with. So their leftover would be impure as well, like, disliked. Yeah, if you put them in, cage and then that they're clean now, there's no najasa on their beak, then it is okay. Fourth type, water whose quality of purifying is doubtful, from which a mule or donkey has partaken. If no other water exists, then one should do both wudu and tayammum and then pray. The leftover water from mule and donkey, one should try and, not use it, but if one has to, then one can use it. It's mushtaba water. Yet, if they do tayammum as well, then inshallah they get better reward. So, leftover water summary: leftover water from human, horse, or animal whose meat is lawful for consumption, it is tahir and mutahir, nothing to worry about, with the exception that if the animal or even like an animal wouldn't have anything haram generally, but the human being might have consumed something haram and then they just drank water. So obviously there could be contamination from that, so make sure that we know it. If you don't know, then don't worry. Leftover water from dog or swine or predators, obviously it's najas, can't use it. The leftover water from domesticated cat or chicken and predatory birds, it's disliked if other water is available. Leftover water from mule or donkey is mashkook, is mushtaba, suspicious. It's better to avoid if we could. If not, then do wudu and tayammum as well, so as to be on safe side. May Allah give us tawfiq. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.